Hello there. This is Miss Monica from the Howard County Library System, the Glenwood branch. I'm here with Miss Laura, who's working behind the scenes. Thank you, Laura. And we are here for STEAM Saturday. So exciting. We love this class. We're going to learn today about science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. This is actually our 16th episode. We're super excited about it. In the last couple episodes, we've learned about the Chesapeake Bay and crabbing and crabs and boats and lighthouses. So today we're going to do a little food science and we're going to make crab cakes. Raise your hand if you have tried crab cakes. Good, you have. If you haven't, I definitely recommend trying them. They are a delicious treat. They're definitely something special that we have for dinner once in a while here at our house, and they're definitely a crowd favorite. So I'm going to share with you my recipe for crab cakes. It's actually from Gourmet Magazine, so I need to give them credit, which is no longer in print. But I've saved this recipe many, many years, and it's one that we make here. So I hope it will become one of your favorites as well. It's super simple to make. You really don't have to get exact with the ingredients. It's just pretty foolproof. So it's a good recipe to try. And if you haven't been making dinners with your family, I hope that this will prompt you to start. So the last episode, in episode 15, we did talk about crabs and how to catch crabs. And the crabbing industry, they are very careful about how big the crabs are that they pick, and they do not keep the female crabs. We learned about that. So once they catch the crabs, they can be cooked and made into food, and people pick them. There's actually a whole industry of crab pickers that pick the meat out, and it looks like, I'll show you what it looks like. It's going to look like this. Okay, so that's crab meat, cooked crab meat, and we are going to use it to make our crab cakes. Also in this episode, just to give a little shout out to our episode 3, which is healthy eating. We did that, oh gosh, way back in January. I think that seems so long ago. And that covers a little bit about measuring. Measuring is great utilization of your math skills when you cook. It's one of my favorite things about cooking, actually, is using this math skills. So if you need a refresher about measuring, you can always go back onto our YouTube and you can watch that episode 3 again, or for the first time, whichever, and learn more about measuring. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over what you need today to make crab cakes. The recipe should be attached to your grown-ups email, or you can just jot down what you need, and then you can always press pause, because by the way, this is recorded, pre-recorded, so you can press pause at any time and put your ingredients or utensils together. So you're going to need, these are the tools. Let's go over first the tools. You're going to need a bowl, and I'm going to go ahead. We are going to do some book suggestions as well here, but we will wait until the end, and I usually don't like to cook with books around. So you're going to need a bowl. You're going to need a 1/2 cup measuring cup. You're going to need some measuring spoons. We're going to be utilizing the big one, which is the tablespoon. You're going to need a whisk. You're going to need a wooden spoon. I also have a regular spoon to use to dish out something. You're going to use a mallet. This is just a crab mallet. You could also use a regular, like a meat mallet if you have one of those. I like to use a little spatula as well. And you are going to need a plastic bag, which I thought that I had a second one. Here it is. Sorry. You're just going to need a plastic Ziploc bag as well. You will also need a frying pan or a cast iron pan, and a spatula, but we're going to talk a little bit later about cooking them. That's probably a grown-up job. So go ahead and press pause if you would like to go and get your utensils, or we can keep going, and then you can watch all of this and then follow along a second time. As for ingredients, I'm going to show you what the ingredients you're going to need. You're going to need different ingredients, and of course, if you do not like or have the brands that I use at my home, you can use whatever brand you have. So you're going to need a pound of crab meat. Just a tip, I happen to get mine at a big warehouse store. It's a little cheaper that way, but there's also seafood places you can buy crab meat, or even your local supermarket has crab meat in the seafood section. You're going to need some sort of hot sauce. Tabasco, this is Texas Pete, whatever kind of hot sauce you have at home. You're going to need mayonnaise. Again, whatever type of mayonnaise you have is fine. You're going to need some Worcestershire sauce. I always say that wrong, Worcestershire sauce. Again, whatever brand you have. You're going to need Dijon mustard. If you have just regular yellow mustard, that's fine too. It will still turn out. And you're going to need an egg. So those are your ingredients. So we're going to start out with making like all the kind of condiment things first. The first thing you're going to need is a half a cup of mayonnaise. So that's where my spoon is going to come in. I have my half a cup and I'm just going to carefully dish my mayonnaise out. I try when I'm cooking not to spill my ingredients. I don't want to waste my ingredients and I also don't want to clean up a mess. But if you do, it's okay. Let's see. Put it all in there. Like so. Okay, half cup. And then we're just going to fill this out. Like so. Move that out of the way. Then we're going to need one large egg. If you have not cracked an egg before, this would be a great thing to ask your grown-up to show you how to do. It's also, if you have some expired eggs ever, they're great to practice the skill on. But I just like to crack it on the side of the bowl, like so. And then I use my two thumbs to, like, it's got a little hole in it now, and just carefully pull it off so that I don't get the shells into what I'm cooking. Just gonna wipe my hands off a little bit. And there you can see it. The egg is cracked in there. Don't want to do too much because I don't want to spill it. And then we're going to take a tablespoon of mustard. I always shake my mustard up so it kind of gets separated sometimes. So 1 tablespoon, remember the big one is the tablespoon. And also don't forget, it's usually written on the side of your measuring spoons. There we go, tablespoon. Dump that in. Then we're going to need a tablespoon of the Worcestershire sauce. Let's see if I can open this with holding this. So, and you're also going to need a tablespoon of this. It's a really easy recipe. You're only dirtying up 1 measuring spoon. It's great. So you don't have to remember which one to use. So a tablespoon of that in there, like so. And then it says just a dash of your hot sauce or Tabasco. It depends on how, if you like things really spicy, put more hot sauce in. If you don't like things spicy, you know, just put a little bit in. So just like a dash. I did a little bit more because my family likes hot sauce. But you can also, what's great with food science is when you make this recipe one time and you might think, oh, it's not spicy enough, I think a little more kick to it. Then the next time you make it, add some more hot sauce, which is kind of, I think, great about cooking is that you can explore and test out different things. I love to cook. I love to bake. My kids do as well. It's a fun activity to do as a family. So there's all of our ingredients in there. You're going to use your whisk and you're just going to whisk that up. And it's going to take the mayonnaise and the mustard and Worcestershire, and it's going to make it a really, really pretty, like pale yellow color. But you want to make sure that everything is mixed together well, get that egg separated and mixed in there as well. It's going to look like that. Okay, super, super easy. Now I am going to take my whisk out. I'm going to kind of tap it, hear me tapping it on the side of the bowl just to get the leftovers in there. I'm going to prop that up. Should I just put it here? And I'm going to put this aside. This is made. The next thing we're going to need, which is actually one of my, this is my favorite part of this recipe, is you're going to need some saltine crackers. Again, whatever brand you have is absolutely fine. They come in sleeves like this. And you're going to need roughly 22, 24 crackers. If you like your crab cakes a little drier, use maybe a couple more. Again, experiment. This, like I said, this recipe is really foolproof. You can't really mess it up. I've had not as many, you know, crackers left in the box and maybe used 18, and my crab cake still turned out just fine. So go ahead and open those up. And this is where you're going to need your plastic bag. So let's go ahead and count by twos. You guys know how to count by 2? Awesome. And we're going to go up to 24. So ready? 2. See, I have 2 here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Gotta open this up a little bit more. 20, 22, 24. Okay, so I'm gonna put those aside. Sometimes when I'm mixing this up, I notice that I don't have enough, like it's not holding together enough, the crab meat with the sauce, and I'll put more of these in and I'll use more. So I just kind of put those aside. This is where you want to take your crab mallet like that. And this is a really fun part, and it's going to be loud. Ready? So if you want to close your ears, just so loud you can. And you're just going to break these apart by gently hammering on them. You don't want to do this too crazy because you can break the bag open, and then you're going to have your crackers all over the place. Sorry, but you're just trying to break up the crackers. You don't want to break them up so they are so fine like flour, but you do want to not have big chunks of crackers in there. So I'll show you when I'm done, but just go ahead and get these. It's kind of fun. I told you it's my favorite part of this recipe. And if you have younger siblings or little people in your household, this is a fun activity to let, and try to get all the air out of them too on the bag, because then it can make it pop. I had a little bit of air in mine. This is a great thing for your younger viewers or siblings to help out with this recipe. I also flip it over, do it a little bit on that side. It's really fun, but you can see it comes together pretty quickly. And there you can see what they look like on the other side. Okay, they're broken up, but they're not completely mashed up. And then you're going to dump those into your bowl with the sauce. Move that over there. And like I said, I just put this aside in case I want to add some more. Sometimes I do, it just depends. So there's those in there. And next you're going to take your crab meat. I have it down here sitting. I prefer to take my crab meat out of the container and rinse it well underneath the sink. I also like to kind of inspect it in case there was any shell pieces. I take those out. This one was fine. That brand usually doesn't have that problem, but it's just good to kind of double check. You don't want somebody eating a shell. And then I use a colander or sieve and I let it sit for a little bit to get out all the water. I don't want this saturated with water because it would affect how my crab cakes come together. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I form those crab cakes, but that's that. Okay. And then I'm just going to dump all this in like so. Oh, this looks so good. I'm so excited. I think I know what we are having for dinner tonight. I think I'm going to go to the farmer's market and get some fresh corn tonight and pair it with these crab cakes. It's going to be really a good dinner, good summer dinner. So there's that. And you're just going to take your wooden spoon and you're going to mix this up. Don't have to mix it real hard, but you do have to get it mixed well. So here's what it's looking like. And you just want to be gentle with mixing this, just so it doesn't go out of the bowl. And you're checking for consistency. You want to make sure that it has a good consistency that you're going to be able to form the crab cakes out of. And when you form the crab cakes, you can decide whether you want smaller crab cakes or larger crab cakes. You don't want them too thick, just because they will take a little bit longer to cook. I usually do them about that thick, like so. And I think this is almost done mixing. So let's go ahead and look at this. Like so, it's looking good. And I go ahead and I form these. Sorry, I'm going to move everything out of the way here. Actually, this got a little wet from the colander. I'm just going to dry this off. I have a plate here and I just have it covered with parchment paper. because these are sticky. So I don't want to just put them down on a plate and then not be able to get them up when I want to go ahead and put them in the pan. So I usually take, I do not measure this, usually about a spoonful like this. It's roughly maybe looking at my half cup, probably about a half cup. But you want to try to keep them the same thickness and the same size, just because when you go to cook them, then they'll all cook evenly. So you're just going to go ahead and take them like so, and you're going to shape them like that. This one's a little bit smaller than I like, but that's okay. Like so, put them on my plate, grab a little bit more. You can just even straight grab it. Always start with clean hands, by the way, when you cook and bake. I did wash my hands before we started our class, like so, okay? So you would just go ahead and do all of these, and that would be, once you have all of them formed, that would be your time to cook them. I am gonna recommend that your grown-up helps you cook these. I just usually put them in a pan with a little bit of olive oil. I usually use pretty low heat to cook them so that they don't burn. You wanna make sure that they're getting cooked all the way through, but definitely a job for a grown-up. Depending on your grown-up, maybe you can assist them, but again, just have your grown-up do that. So this would probably make at least 7 or 8 crab cakes. If you made them a little smaller, they'd make more. If you make bigger ones, they'll make less. But they look like that. These look so tasty and so delicious. Time to have a crab meal today at our house and hopefully your house too. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my crab cake batter aside. And I do want to show you, I have just a couple quick book suggestions for you if you want to learn more about cooking or you want to learn more about crabs. Let me just move this out of the way. Oop, yep, that's got a little water. I'm glad I did not. It's on my floor. Oops, glad I did not do that by our books. So yeah, I'm always careful with our library books. So let's move this out of the way. You could also, by the way, if you really like Old Bay, you could sprinkle some of that on that as well. And into the batter and then form your crab cakes, or you put a little bit of Old Bay when you eat them as well. When you serve them, the crab cakes taste good as a sandwich, or that we eat them just plain, but you could put them on a sandwich with a little bit of tartar sauce and lettuce and tomato, just whatever you like, super yummy. So learning about the Chesapeake Bay, we've got a couple, actually the library has a lot of wonderful books about the Chesapeake Bay. This is Awesome Chesapeake, A Kid's Guide to the Bay by David Owen Bell. I might've showed you this before. Great book about our great Chesapeake Bay. I love visiting the Chesapeake Bay. This one is Discover the Chesapeake Bay by Leah Kaminsky. I think I've showed you this as well too. Another one about the Chesapeake Bay. Then I've got some cooking books. I highly recommend checking out the kids cooking section at the library in the nonfiction section. It's always the 641s in Dewey Decimal 641. Yep, one of my favorite Dewey Decimal numbers because I like to cook a lot. But there are so many wonderful cookbooks for kids. That's actually, I started baking and cooking at your age, very young. And I remember my dad buying me a couple cookbooks and I still use them today. Some of my favorite recipes come from them. But today's cookbooks are incredible for kids. This is America's Test Kitchen, my first cookbook. I really, really, really like the way it's got different chapters and it's got very simple to read recipes. There's one for molasses cookies. That would be a good dessert with our crab cakes. So that's my first cookbook. Then DK Publishing, we all know I love DK Publishing, never disappoints. This is cooking step by step, more than 50 delicious recipes for young cooks. And this one is really great too, because it's got a lot of pictures and it's got a lot of steps. So what's nice about this being one of the first cookbooks to use is that when you're not sure, when they talk about doing a technique or something, they've showed you the picture on this. So minty kebabs. This could be an appetizer term for our crab cakes. Yum. So lots of cookbooks. I really have touched the surface on the amount of cookbooks every single one of our library branches has. Not only do we have cookbooks in the kids section, but I think we have a really long shelf of cookbooks for adults as well. So if you're an experienced cook, one of my older listeners, if your grown-up allows you, go into the adult section and look at the cookbooks there. There's also always new cookbooks in the news section as well of books at the library. So And then this is a really fun picture book. Miss Peggy actually introduced me to this book, and it's really cute and really funny. It's called Crab Cake by Andrea Sumami. I'm not going to say that right, but this is about a crab in the ocean and all his crab friends, and he likes to make cakes, but a different type than obviously crab cakes. He likes to make like baking like party cakes and yummy birthday cakes and things like that. So check out Crab Cake. It's in our picture book section. It's a lot of fun. I think that's the end of this class. I could cook with you all for just the whole day because I think cooking and kids are just such a fun combination of things. And cooking is a wonderful, wonderful activity. And like I said, you're exploring food science and STEM and math, and you're making something good to eat. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great day, and I can't wait to hear how your crab cakes turn out. And I hope you have a good time making them. Take care. Bye-bye.